Gosh, a really long time since I've done a video for you. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit today because, I have just, have you ever had one of those days or one of those weeks or maybe even one of those months where everything just seemed to go sideways? It was like as soon as I got a hold of one thing and felt like that was under control, something else went wrong. So let me give you a little insight into what my last month has been like. And then we'll talk a little bit about how we can maneuver through some of these challenges that we encounter in life. When life just goes sideways, when you just can't seem to manage to find your ground, you feel like the earth is moving underneath your feet. So for me, this happened right after I got back from my 10 days in silence that I did the first part of the year. I came back after that and I went to a wedding the following weekend up in Michigan. And I was a dancing fool. And I mean that literally. I was really, really having a good time. I wore heels for the first time in a really long time, and I was just boogieing down. And as a result of that, I ended up with a torn meniscus. So lots of pain in my knee, and I'm in and out of the car a lot. So it's just exacerbates the problem. And I've been doing some physical therapy for it because I'm trying to avoid having to do surgery. So that's kind of been hanging on since about the end of January. Then early February, I think you've seen me post recently that we've been taking care of Rob's mom and trying to find the right place for her to live. She's 83 and she was in an independent living place, and we've had to take her to an assisted living place as her memory is beginning to decline. And then we just recently moved her from the assisted living into a memory care side of it. And, each one of these transitions is really, really hard for her. And as a result, it's really hard for us because we love her a lot and we really want her to just be happy. And it's scary for her, as she lets go of her independence at each one of these stages. And so that's been pretty stressful dealing with that. And so Rob ended up with the shingles a couple of weeks ago. And so he spent, I mean, luckily we caught it really early and he was really only sick for about 3 days. But, it's just not a fun illness to have. Not that any of it is, but that was just really not a fun experience. And right about the time he got over the shingles, his mom fell. And so she broke her wrist and she cracked her pelvis. And we have been in and out of the hospital trying to take care of her. And she's confused about where she's at. And it just, and I'm still hobbling around with my knee and walking from the back of the parking lot into the hospital. And we just kind of finally get her surgery done. And I take a big deep breath because the next stage is to get her to a rehab center. And then the middle of last week, Rob got diagnosed with the flu. So he had just gotten over the shingles and now the flu, and temperature of 102.4. And I'm wearing gloves and a mask and washing everything so that I don't get it. And I'm the only one around anymore that can really go visit his mom. So, wow, right? I mean, doesn't just hearing that kind of stresses you out? It stresses me out to even talk about it. So I wanted to spend a minute kind of talk a little bit about, what do we do in the middle of this? How do we sort of manage through these crises that show up, or at least they feel like crises at the time? How do we stay grounded, or how do we find our footing? And so for me, it has been all about my mindfulness practice. If I didn't have a meditation practice, I probably wouldn't have any more hair in my head. I would have pulled it out from just sheer exhaustion and frustration. I might have gotten sick because I've been able to keep my immune system up by breathing and calming things down. So I'm so grateful for that. And it's part of what really makes me passionate about what I do as a mindfulness coach, to truly help people to sort of find their footing again, on a regular basis. It's called a practice for a reason because we don't ever get it perfect. We don't get it right all the time. We need to always be practicing. So very thankfully, that was what I was able to do to get me through the month of February. So here I am. It's March, thankfully. Got past the full moon, got past February. Mom's in the rehab center doing her physical therapy. Rob is better and back to work. And I got the MRI on my knee, and it doesn't look like I'm going to need surgery. So it's all good, right? But when you're in the middle of all of it, it feels like it's never going to end. So I'm just giving you a gentle reminder, that everything is impermanent. That when we find ourselves in the midst of these challenges, I have an acronym, SOB. First thing is stop. Just stop, simplify, bring in some of the things that are out there. Don't do the extras. Bring yourself in. That's kind of why you didn't see me on video much. I really needed to come into myself and tune into my inner wisdom so that I would know what I needed to get done and what I needed to just kind of do to cut myself some slack. So reel it in, stop running around crazy. So the first thing is stop. The second thing is to observe. Look at what you're doing to yourself. Observe your bodily sensations, where you're clenching your fists, where you're clenching your jaw, where you're not breathing. And just again, just give yourself that opportunity to come back into alignment. We talk about your chakras and how important it is to have them all aligned. And when things like this happen, it's so much about that lower portion of your chakras, safety, security, being able to just feel grounded. So I spent a lot of time in meditation, a lot of time with my grounding essential oils, diffusing so that I could just kind of come back to center. So observe what's going on with your body. And thirdly, the B portion, breathe. Don't forget to take those big cleansing breaths. And when you meditate, that's a part of the game. So that's why it's so important to have that practice. So stop the craziness, observe what's going on, and breathe. That's my recommendation when life goes sideways for you. Mostly the best thing you can do is have a good regular mindfulness practice. So if you need some help with that, we've got that ongoing boot camp. You can enter anytime. It's only $199 for 8 weeks of coaching. 8 weeks with this powerful warrior woman satsang that we've created. Other beings, other people in this boot camp looking to do the same thing that you are, to become more mindful, to calm down the monkey mind, and to listen and hear that inner guru so that you can find what your next move is. So I'll post a link to that. Take a look at that. Think about the retreat, because now that I'm back on, I'm all ready to market and get this retreat going that we got coming up in April. I am so excited for that. It is such a powerful, powerful healing and transformation weekend. So I'll post that link as well. Maybe consider jumping off the grid for a weekend and doing some healing and transformation for yourself. That's something to think about. But beyond all things, think S, stop, O, observe, and B, breathe. We can all do this together. Remember, nothing lasts forever, the bad stuff or the good stuff. So staying in the now when it is good is a really, really good thing to do. And breathing through when it's not so good and knowing that it's not going to last forever. Hope that's helpful for you. It sure got me through the last month. Take care. Namaste. So much love.